Shalom, this is Levi Shore. Welcome back to Sweet and Good Torah. So tonight we're going to learn about Lag BaOmer, one of the most mystical holidays of all the holidays of the year. So on the second night of Pesach, on the second night of Passover, we begin the mitzvah of Sefirat HaOmer, and we count for 49 days. And then on the 50th night begins the holiday of Shavuos. So on the 33rd count, on the 33rd day, or that night of the count, we begin a holiday called Lag BaOmer. So why is this one Sephiros? Why is this a holiday? So one thing is that the Sephira that we count itself is Hod Shebahod. So Hod Shebahod could be defined as empathy within empathy. And I saw in Rabbi Yaakov Haber's book on the Sephiros, he called it beauty within beauty. And it's a very special day. So what happened on this day that makes it so special? During the first 32 days of the Omer, there was a period where Rabbi Akiva had 24,000 students. And a plague broke out among his students, and his students started passing away each day. Now the Gemara tells us that even though these were students of the Torah, and they were learning Torah and they were learning how to do the mitzvos, they were not being friendly with each other. And they were just in it for themselves and their own wisdom. And that goes completely against the whole point of the Torah and the mitzvos. The whole point is that it should bring shalom between us and other people, and it should bring shalom between us, peace between us and Hashem. And it's defeating the whole purpose of the Torah to just learn it as just this intellectual pursuit without looking inside the beauty of the Torah and seeing all the mitzvos and seeing how the mitzvos are helping us be kinder people and get along better with ourselves, get along better with other people, get along better with Hashem, and drawing down a kedusha, holiness into ourselves. So all the Torah has this great benefit, but unfortunately these students, for whatever reason, they weren't learning it for the right purpose. So after, so on the 33rd day of the count of that year, the plague stopped and no more students died. So after this terrible loss, Rabbi Akiva started again with 5 new students. And these students were Rabbi Yehuda Bar Eli, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Elazar ben Shemua, Rabbi Yossi ben Chalafta, and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Now on this day, with these 5 students, Rabbi Akiva completely began the Masorah of the Torah, which would have been completely lost, because this was the days of the Roman Empire, as we're going to learn about more soon. And also on this day was the yahrzeit, was the day that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai passed away. He was nifter on this day. And a yahrzeit holds very special qualities of that person. That person's life comes to completeness and fullness on that last day of that person's life. And all their avodas Hashem, all the work, all the Torah they've learned, all the mitzvahs they've done, all the kindness they've done for other people, it all comes to completion on that day. And this day is connected very deeply with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Now, we learn an interesting story in the Gemara in Masechta Shabbos on page 33 also, which is interesting, on 33 Amud Beis, on the second part of the page. And we learn of a story between a conversation that was going on between Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Akiva, and there was another rabbi there, Rabbi Yehuda ben Gerim, who was listening into this conversation. So they're having a conversation about the Roman Empire, who in those days was controlling Eretz Yisrael. Now, Rabbi Yehuda, he spoke first, and he said how amazing it was, all the things the Romans did. And that this was helping out the Jewish people. We said that the Romans had built these great marketplaces where, you could buy all kinds of things you were looking for. And they built these great bathhouses, and they built all these bridges. So Rabbi Yossi, he was silent. He didn't have a response to Rabbi Yehuda's comments. Now Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he answered, and he was looking into the deeper meaning of yes, there should be a korsa tov, there should be a gratitude that the Romans did these things that is helping out the Jewish people. But he was looking into a deeper meaning of the intentions of the Romans, of why did they build these things. And it's interesting because he said it's true, they built these great marketplaces, and you can picture we have these superstores and malls where you can get anything you possibly desire. So it makes life easier for people that they can get all kinds of food and clothing, whatever things they need to live their lives. But Rabbi Shimon was saying, but they built these marketplaces to have zonos live there, to have prostitutes live there. So there's some kind of like, it was being used for, maybe it's a clue that like all kinds of like whatever physical desires that a person had, this marketplace was being used to, sell all those physical desires, even the lowest of desires and desires that are avera. And he said, yes, the bathhouses are great. It's relaxing and refreshes a person. But he's saying, but the Romans just built these bathhouses to beautify themselves. It was only for their own physical beauty. That was the inner meaning of why they built these bathhouses. And then he said the bridges, right? The bridges, they travel easier for people. They can cross like vast rivers. I mean, we live in a world with so many great bridges, so we don't think about it, but it was probably very hard when you were on foot or you were on horseback or a wagon to cross these vast rivers. And these bridges made it easier to travel from country to country in vast distances. But Rabbi Shimon was saying, but they only built these bridges to collect tolls. So they built it for their own monetary advantage. Not really, the inner meaning was not to help other people out. So Rabbi Yehuda ben Gerim, I think he had told some maybe friends or family, but unfortunately, like whatever he was relaying about this conversation got back to the Roman government. And the Romans, they came in and Rabbi Yehuda, who had said very nice things and praising the Romans, so they elevated him to a position of stature. And Rabbi Yossi, who didn't say anything, he was silent. So his punishment was he didn't praise the Romans, but he didn't say anything bad. So he was exiled to the town at Sipori. And then because Rabbi Shimon said these harsh things about the Roman Empire, that there was a decree against him that he was to be killed. So at first he escaped with his son Rabbi Elazar to the Beis Midrash, to a yeshiva. They just sat in the Beis Midrash and they learned. But then, he thought it was getting too dangerous and that maybe the Romans would come and they would try to torture his wife. So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and Rabbi Elazar, his son, they fled to a cave. And inside this cave, I think they lived there for about 12 years, and miraculous things happened, that Hashem made this like a spring of water flow, so they had water to drink, and I think a carob tree miraculously grew, so they had food and water there. And then in this cave, I think that they had learned from Eliyahu Hanavi, Elijah the prophets, and they were taught deep inner meanings and secrets of the Torah. And the highest level of the Torah is the level of Sod, of secrets. And so real quickly, we'll go through the 4 levels of the Torah. So our Masorah, our tradition is that at Har Sinai, at Mount Sinai, Moshe Rabbeinu, he received the whole Torah. And the whole Torah consisted of the Torah Shebiksav, the written Torah, which is in the Torah scrolls and the 24 books of the Tanakh. And he received the Torah Sheba'al Peh, the whole oral Torah. And also he received all the Midrashim and the Halachos and the Mitzvos and everything that we know about the Torah, Moshe received at Har Sinai. So there's 4 levels of how we understand when we look at the Chumash, when we look at what we call the Torah or the 5 books of Moshe, the Chumash. There's 4 levels to learn from. So the first level is Peshat, which is the simple meaning. It's just the simple, like literal meaning when we read a pasuk, and it just teaches us something there. The next level is the level of Remez. And Remez is like a hint. So here we start to learn the Midrashim, and we learn about the allegories and things that the Torah is teaching us, moral lessons and all kinds of things beyond just the literal meaning of the pasuk, and this starts to hint to the great secrets that are on the highest level. The level of drash is seeking and expounding, and that's the level of the Mishnah, the Gemara, and the Halakha, where we know how to expound out from the pasukim of the Torah. From the verse of the Torah, we learn all the Halakha of how to do all the mitzvos, and how to use the Torah, and all the things that we learn how to pull out of the Torah. And then the highest level is the level of Sod, the esoteric, the mystical level. And this we put into a word, we call it Peshat, Remez, Drash, and Sod, Pardes. and that means orchard, and it may be related to also that word paradise, but it's this orchard, and the sod is the highest level, the esoteric meaning of the Torah, and this is what Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his son Rabbi Elazar, they worked in on that cave, and they wrote down the Zohar. They received this amazing teaching, and each parsha of the Torah, it explains the deep mysteries behind the Torah and the highest level of when we're doing the mitzvos, what's happening in the spiritual realms above us. And we learn all about like spiritual beings in the higher worlds, the makeup of, we learn about the mystery of Maisa Bereshis, of like how did Hashem create the whole world. And then there's the mystery of Maisa Merkava, the mystery of the chariot, Hashem's Kisei Kavod, his throne of glory, and how Hashem runs the world. All the secrets and all the information on how Hashem runs the world. So because the students of Rabbi Akiva, because they stopped dying on this day, and because we're also celebrating the life of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, so Lag BaOmer, it's a great celebration. So we have this period of mourning for the students of Rabbi Akiva, where we let our hair grow and we don't trim our beards and we don't listen to music and we don't have weddings during that period. And there's other minhag that a boy's upshirim. So if a boy for the first 3 years of his life, some people have a minhag not to cut the boy's hair until he turns 3. So if someone was born during this Omer where we don't cut hair, we can cut the boy's hair. We can have an upshirim on Lag BaOmer, and it's a great celebration. There's customs, there's a minhag we have big bonfires and we play music, and it's a great night and a day for delving into the highest levels and the mysteries of the Torah. So Bezrat Hashem will have this great celebration on Lag BaOmer, and Hashem will reveal to us many of the beautiful and sweet secrets of the Torah, and we'll continue learning more sweet and good Torah.